Today we'd like to talk about the two different versions of smart technology that we use here on campus. First is the Symposium, which we've already spoken about, and the second is the Smartboard, which is actually a touch-activated device by Smart Technologies. Okay, so the first thing we have to keep in mind is when you are at the Smartboard, every one of your touches is basically like the left click on your mouse. So, as you can see, I'm going to touch the board and hit the Start menu. I'm going to go to My Computer. I'm going to go to my flash drive. Then I'm going to enter into a folder. I'm going to maximize my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and start up a PowerPoint presentation. Again, keep in mind, every time I touched the board, it was just like pressing left click on your mouse. Okay. Now you're going to see your normal PowerPoint. I'm going to go in and start my show from the beginning. Since this is just like clicking, there is no need to go back, press the space bar, or click on your mouse to advance your slides. You can actually advance your slides from the board. So what you're going to do is you're going to touch the board to create a point of reference. If you touch to the left of that point of reference, you are then advancing a slide. If you touch to the right of that point of reference, you are going back a slide. So let's take a look at that. We're going to create a point of reference, advance, create a point of reference, reverse. Oh, didn't like my point of reference. There we go. Great. So again, create a point of reference, advance, create a point of reference, reverse. So now that we've taken a look at some of the mechanical features, the Smartboard does give us a couple of advances that we can use. Let's say you are in the middle of your lecture, and I'm just going to advance a couple of slides. All right. You can go ahead and pick up any colored pen, and you'll notice that a light will come on for the desired color that you've just picked up, and now I can go ahead and make annotations on the board. I can draw my arrows. I can make reference to all of my levels being even at that point. I can talk about my main volume, so on and so forth. So the Smartboard will allow you to take your previously prepared PowerPoint slides and make any annotations that you would like to them. Now, if I were to put down my pen, create a point of reference, advance, I then continue on to my next slide. Now, the other really nice thing about the Smartboard is it allows you to be interactive while you're in the middle of a presentation. So let's continue on. All right, great. So let's say someone in your lecture has a question, but you would like to continue on with your lecture. At the same point, you want to make sure that that person feels like they're actively participating in your lecture. So what you can do is create a blank slide and then go ahead and take note of their question. So let's take a look at how we do that. We're going to click on this little icon that looks like a piece of paper with an arrow pointing down. We're going to choose the option that says Add Blank Slide. Once we have the blank slide, we can then pick up the desired color, and we have question 1. Make note of the question. Question 2. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, great. We're going to continue on with the lecture, and we're going to come back to these questions as soon as we're ready. Go ahead and put down your pen. You're going to create your point of reference, advance, create your point of reference, and advance. Great. So you've gotten through the part that you desired for your lecture, and then we can always go back to the question. What we're going to do is create a point of reference, reverse, create a point of reference, go back. 3, 2, 1. There are my questions. We haven't interrupted my lecture process, and we've also made sure to take note of the student questions as they came up. This is a great tool that allows you much flexibility when doing your presentations. Troubleshooting tips for the Smartboard Touchboard. what you're going to keep in mind is if the board becomes unresponsive or not giving you an accurate mouse pointer when you touch the board, what you're going to do is right in the middle of the board there are two buttons. One of them has a picture of a keyboard. The other has a picture of a right click option. We're going to press both for 2 seconds. Then we're going to be greeted by a field. In this field, this is where the board is looking for accuracy. So you want to be careful and only touch the board at one point, which would be in the center of the crosshairs. Finish the first column. Again, aiming for the yellow spot in the center of the red crosshairs. Halfway done. And the last column. A second real quick troubleshooting tip, because you folks will be standing in front of your own class. Be very careful not to point with the board to the board with your middle finger. If you happen to use that finger most often when you're pointing, just go ahead and pop the other finger next to it. We definitely do not want your class standing there laughing at you as you're pointing with just a middle finger.